Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Justin and I want to welcome you to That Christian Vlogger. Typically I make videos every single Monday and Thursday talking about questions on the Christian experience, questions that young people like you and myself oftentimes wrestle with, but today is April 1st, so it is April Fool's, but it's also the very beginning of VEDA. If you don't know what VEDA is a project that a lot of people in the YouTube community participate on. It's VEDA stands for Vlogging Every Day in April, where basically a lot of YouTubers try and make one video every single day for the entire month of April. It's kind of a large project, but it's very fun because it allows people like you to get to know me just a little bit better. And so every single day in the month of April, I'm going to do my best to answer a question or a prompt to allow you to get to know me just a little bit better. So whether you are a longtime subscriber or maybe this is the first time that you've watched one of my videos, hopefully you get to have a little bit of fun getting to know a little bit about me. And in today's video, the prompting is tell us something about you. So I'm going to give you guys 10 things that you probably didn't know about me. Thing number one is that I am actually the oldest of 5 children. So I have 1 brother and 3 sisters, or I like to tease and say I have 4 sisters. But my siblings are, I guess in order, it's me, then my brother Jordan, Nikki, Hope, then Hannah. Now, when I was younger, my parents had myself, my brother, and my sister, and then they were split up, they divorced, and they both ended up remarrying, and now I have a half-sister on each side. The second thing about me that you probably didn't know is my ethnicity. A lot of you guys tend to ask or try to guess what ethnicity I am, and a lot of times people will see my eyes and say, oh, you must be like Chinese and you must be like Korean or something like that. But then they look at my skin and they say, oh, you're not as light-skinned as a lot of other Orientals are, and that's because I'm actually a mix. I am both Filipino and Chinese. My mom was born in the Philippines and she came and immigrated here when she was like 4 or 5 years old, and my dad was born here in the States, so I am both Filipino and Chinese. Thing number 3 is something that usually catches a lot of people off guard, is that I used to be a competitive Olympic weightlifter. Now, there's generally 2 misconceptions about what competitive Olympic weightlifter is. It isn't the kind of thing that you think about when you think of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's more like bodybuilding, where the goal is to like get as big as you can. An Olympic weightlifter doesn't do that. And the second misconception is that I wasn't actually in the Olympics either, or like trying to go to the Olympics. That's just the name of the sport. Olympic weightlifting is basically this sport where you compete in 2 lifts. They're called the snatch and the clean and jerk, where And the nice thing about Olympic weightlifting is it's much like wrestling in the sense that there's different weight classes. So even if you're lighter weight like myself, or you're even like on the heavier end of things, there's a different weight class and you can compete against people around the same body weight as you. And so I competed in the 62 kilo weight category, which in pounds is about 135 pounds. And like I said, I was actually pretty good. I actually ranked for several like national competitions. My best snatch was right around 195 pounds. It was 88 kilos, and my best clean and jerk was like 235 pounds, which if I had hit that, my best weight for a snatch while I was living in Philadelphia, that actually would have been good for a state record. But unfortunately, before the, about like, what was it, maybe a week, maybe I think it was about 2 weeks before the national competition, I ended up tweaking my back, so I actually didn't officially get to compete at the national competition that I qualified for. But I guess technically I qualified. My name was on the starting list, but I just wasn't able to make it out there. Thing number 4 is that I actually am a black belt in Taekwondo. When I was a kid, I was always, I still am a very active and very physical individual. And when I was younger, and I really, really loved like martial arts movies. I grew up on like the Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, that type of stuff. And so my parents enrolled me in martial arts. And I did Taekwondo, which is a Korean martial arts that focuses primarily on kicking instead of like punching or grappling or wrestling or something like that. There's a lot of kicking involved, and a lot of times at the higher levels of Taekwondo, it's like a lot of more acrobatic types of kicks, like the jumping, flipping, spinning type of kicks. And so I did that for several years and I earned my black belt. But unfortunately, since I haven't been practicing in like over a decade, my body is not nearly as flexible. I used to be able to like stand like this close to somebody, to be able to put my head, like kick my leg up and like hit them in the back of the head because I was like that flexible. Now I can't even like really touch my toes unless I like really warm up. So that's really unfortunate, but I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. Thing number 5 that you probably didn't know about me is that I am actually a Seventh-day Adventist. Now, this is a question I get a lot because obviously I'm clearly Christian. It's that Christian vlogger and people wonder what denomination I am. And so I am what's called a Seventh-day Adventist. What exactly is that? Well, you've probably heard of the term Advent. So when you think about like the Christmas season, they have this thing called like the Advent calendar. Where it's basically like a countdown to the time of the year where we celebrate the first coming of Jesus. So an Advent is actually the coming of. So an Adventist is someone who believes in the very real and the very soon coming of Jesus Christ. You know, he comes and he takes us home and he like redeems this world and remakes earth and heaven and all that kind of good stuff. But basically the point is that because Jesus is coming soon, that ought to alter the way that we live our lives, from the food that we eat, the way that we treat other people, our purpose in life, our calling, and the way that we try and treat other people. All should be influenced by the way that all of that should be influenced by the belief that we believe that Jesus is coming soon. The whole Seventh-day part just simply refers to the fact that Seventh-day Adventists go to church on Saturday as opposed to Sunday. It's kind of like the whole Jewish thing where they would go to the synagogue on Saturday. So I am a Christian, a follower of Jesus, who believes that he is coming soon and happens to go to church most weeks on Saturday instead of Sunday. Thing number 6 is a little odd, a little peculiar, and it has to do with my type of shoes that I like to wear. I'm definitely not the kind of person that likes, really thick shoes. I don't like the big soles. I don't like any type of support in my shoes. I like my shoes to be as flat and low to the ground as possible. In fact, when I was into like running and other types of things a few years ago, I would even wear those really kind of weird gecko looking shoes where they had like the toes, individual pods for each of your toes. To kind of mimic the barefoot feel. But when I wear shoes, I love being able to feel the ground. I like being able to feel every pebble or every crack that I walk around on. And in fact, when I was into running back in the days, I actually even did like a decent amount of like barefoot running, where I'd do like 10 or 15 mile runs without any shoes on, like no shoes, no socks, and just go out and run barefoot. And I don't know, for me, it's the most comfortable way for my feet to be. In fact, anytime I wear shoes that have support now, it actually hurts my feet. And so that's a very odd sensation to have, but I like barefoot shoes. Thing number 7 is that both myself and my wife, Emily, hope in the near future to be able to do some kind of international missions work. We both have done some mission work. Like when I was younger in high school, I actually did a couple different mission trips like Mexico or Peru. I've also been able to do mission trips in like the Philippines, and of course speaking, internationally as well as here in the States. But I would love to do a little bit more. I would love to do like a more extended mission trips all around the world. My wife Emily was a missionary in the Philippines for nearly a year, which is kind of interesting because she has more experience living in the Philippines than I've ever had. And even though she's like as white could be, she has lived in the Philippines as a missionary. And so we really hope in the near foreseeable future for the two of us to be able to do mission work together, because that's actually something that we haven't been able to do yet. We are working on some plans, nothing that I can actually announce to the channel yet, but know that we are trying to take the vlog international and to do some mission work. So we definitely appreciate your guys' prayer on that. Thing number 8 is kind of another crazy story. It has to do back when I was into running a lot. Actually, this was after I started doing a lot of running. So after running and before Olympic weightlifting, I actually used to do CrossFit for a while, which I'm sure many of you guys have heard of before, which CrossFit is just like basically this working out program that helps you get really fit. And I had done this for, I don't know, like a year or so, and I was in the best shape that I've ever been in my life. And I was wondering, I wonder how far I can take it. I would read in books that say that your mind will give up before your body gives up, and I've just read these things about people doing amazing things. So I was like, I wonder what I could do. And so some friends actually told me that there was a marathon that was coming up in like a week or 2 weeks from the date that I had talked to them, and they're like, you should give it a shot. Well, actually, that's not true. They didn't encourage me to do it because I hadn't been training, but they had let me know about it, which was a mistake. And so I actually signed up on a whim to do a marathon, which is like 26 miles, even though I had never run the entire year before. I only ran once, and it was for 1 mile. So I did a total of 1 mile of running in like an entire year. And I find myself at the starting line of this marathon praying to God, God, please, just whatever happens, don't let me die. And I was kind of scared, but I wanted to see what my body could do. And so I actually did pretty well. I crossed the halfway part in under 2 hours, which is a fairly respectable time, especially if you're not training at all. But around mile 15, I remember my body just like hitting the wall, and this is like this entering into a whole world of pain. There was a guy who had passed me. He was wearing like, I think it was like a bright orange shirt, and on the shirt he had this piece of paper like pinned to the back, and it read, "You have just been passed by a great grandfather." And that was like so demoralizing. Around like mile 22 or something like that, I remember really struggling, trying to just keep on going and not quitting. And there were literally senior citizens who were walking, who were passing me, and I was going as fast as I could. But alas, a full 7 hours and 30 minutes-ish after I had started this race, even though I had gotten halfway in only 2 hours, it took me 7.5 hours to cross the finish line, when they were literally just tearing down the entire finish line. And yeah, it was the most painful event that I've ever done in my life. And as like, I think it's Dave Ramsey who's joked, I believe that day I ran 2 marathons, my first and my last marathon ever. But the cool news was that I did finish, and I did know that my body would give up before my mind would, because I'm that stubborn. Thing number 9 is that I am actually a vegetarian. I've been vegetarian now for about 10 years, which if you know anything about Filipinos, that's like a super rare thing. Chinese people, it's a little bit more common because of like Buddhism. A lot of Buddhists are vegetarian, but for Filipinos, that's definitely not how it is. We like our meat, and growing up, that's all I ate. I ate like rice and meat for like every single meal, whether it was chicken or steak or fish or something like that. I just ate a lot of meat. But when I was kind of like studying the Bible, I came across a couple verses that talked about the way that God wanted us to live and treat our bodies, and how, you know, certain principles, it was better for a healthy life to live a certain way. And not to say that this is something that everyone has to do, or it's like a moral thing, or you're sinning if you eat meat, like not in the least bit. But for me, I decided to give vegetarianism a try, and it's been about 10 years. I've dabbled with being a vegan for a little while. I did it for a handful of years, but I'm a vegetarian right now. And I don't know, people ask if I would eat meat again, and it's not that I don't like the taste of meat. Every time I pass a Korean barbecue, my mouth starts watering. Every time I smell fried chicken, I'm just like craving it again. But for me, my kind of personality is like an all-in or nothing kind of a person. And so I know that if I were to kind of open those doors again, that pretty soon I'd be eating even like less healthy than I am today. And so I just kind of try and stay away from it a little bit. And the last but not least thing that you probably don't know about me is I am actively trying to grow my hair into like the man bun style. I've had my hair short for the last several years. In fact, the last time my hair was any longer than this, when I was like in the 2nd grade, I used to have like the bowl cut when I was a kid. But I'm trying to grow my hair out to the man bun stage, which is something that my wife regrets giving me permission to do. Nowadays she sees, especially like when it's windy, my hair will like gonna blow over to the side, and then she's like, you start looking like Donald Trump with the hair flipped to the side and all that kind of stuff. But I'm almost there. It's probably a couple more months, but I have a couple like stray hairs that aren't quite long enough just yet. But I'm trying to do the man bun style. It's just, I've been wanting to do something different, and to me this sounds like the best thing to do, especially because I'm currently living in Portland, where it's kind of more hipstery, and I can wear like beanies most of the days, or when I work in the office. I can feel better about my awkward hair length. So yeah, those are 10 things that you probably didn't know. I'm curious to know if you actually did know any of those 10 things, and if you didn't know some of them, which of them kind of caught you off guard the most. But also, I'd love to hear from you guys. If you want to join me in Veda, you can make a video about a couple things that I don't know about you, or maybe just share a few fun facts about yourself down in the comment section below. It's always fun when I get to know you guys just a little bit better. But hopefully you guys enjoyed Veda day number 1. Like I said, we're going to be doing this every single day in the month of April, so check back tomorrow for our next video as we get to know each other just a little bit better. But until next time, I'm that Christian vlogger, and of course, I want to encourage you to experience faith in the first person. God bless.